Hello fragrance family, welcome to Fragrance Therapy. I'm your host Alan. Now I took to Reddit, Instagram, and made a YouTube post asking you all for your best layering combos when it comes to fragrances. In some cases, if the recommendations were for designer or niche fragrances, I also tested dupes to give you all an affordable option. And in some cases, I didn't have the OGs at all. So again, I used well-regarded clones. I also added 2 of my own, totaling 12. I'm going to rate each one out of 10, so let's jump in. Look, when layering, my rule of thumb is it shouldn't make either of the fragrances any worse. The combo should be at least just as good as wearing them each on their own. The real magic happens when the combo creates something unique and new. Also, another rule of thumb, if you're layering, put the deeper, stronger fragrance first and put the lighter, more airy one on top of that one. So let's get my 2 out of the way. We're going to start with the one that kind of kicked this entire thing off. When I was a kid, my parents would give me like mango puree over like a vanilla ice cream. I thought let's try to replicate that vibe in a fragrance. The ones I chose was Vulcan Few. My best warm weather fragrance from last year. This thing was a shoe-in for this experiment. For the vanilla ice cream aspect, I tried French Avenue Spectre Ghost. And while that's an amazing fragrance in its own right, there's just too many spices in that one. I needed something that was a little bit more pure vanilla, so I landed on Maison Azrar's Vanilla Aura. This thing is a good fragrance, but it's a bit simplistic. Vanilla amber sweetness that's not overly dense. It's like has a light airiness to it. On its own, its simplistic nature kind of works against it, but in this case, it was perfect for layering. Amazing mango citrus with this slight fizziness mixed with this sweet, very natural smelling vanilla. Together, 10 out of 10 combo. Combining the next 2 was like a no-brainer for me. First, I took Marwa, bright, crisp citrus burst with that quickly transitions into this smooth, soapy, slightly spicy heart. The dry down on this is famous for its tea note. At the same time, it mimics like high-end luxury soap. And I combined that with Pacific Aura. This is a fruit-forward aquatic, realistic juicy orange and mint combo. That herbal note in here keeps it from getting overly sweet. With these 2, take that Pacific Chill DNA, take that Imagine DNA, combine them together, it's like a match made in heaven. And combining these changes the scent profile enough to make it feel like almost like a new LV, like summer fragrance creation. I have decants of both of the OGs, and I tested with those as well and works wonderfully with those as well. So the next recommendation was layering 2 Tom Ford fragrances. Layering Effing Fabulous with Lost Cherry. Now I do own Effing Fabulous, the OG, but I do not have Lost Cherry. But I do have Maison Alhambra's Lovely Cherry. So I thought it would be unfair to match like a $300 original fragrance with a $20 dupe. So I swapped Effing Fabulous with a really good clone, which is Al Haramain's Amber Oud Black. This takes one of my favorite Tom Ford DNAs with Effing Fabulous and mixes it with something that I'm not really a big fan of, which is Lost Cherry. Now with Amber Oud Black, think masculine, ambery, aromatic scent, warm spices, woods, and leather. Lovely Cherry, of course, super duper sweet cherry, not realistic juicy cherry either. To me, it's like comes off as a cloyingly sweet artificial cherry. And this combo does make Lovely Cherry better, but it makes this Amber Oud / Effing Fabulous DNA way, way worse. Maybe this would have been better if I used both OGs, but I'm never going to buy Lost Cherry. I just don't like that fragrance, so it is what it is. 3 out of 10. So the next recommendation was combining Stronger With You intensely with Replica's Jazz Club, and I don't have good dupes of either of these fragrances, so I thought let's just stick with the OGs. Stronger With You intensely, a sweet, sweet vanilla toffee fragrance. Also some warm spices and ambers. One of the most hyped designer fragrances on the market today. I think many people say this is like the perfect young man's date night fragrance. With Jazz Club, another very sweet fragrance, but much more mature because along with the vanilla, you also get deep notes of tobacco and rum. Also woods and ambers. At the end of the day, this is also a date night fragrance in my opinion, just for a little bit more mature, man. Now honestly, this combo is not bad, but for me, it's just not a needle mover. It's a clash of youth and maturity. It smells completely fine when you combine them, but I would just rather wear these fragrances on their own. So again, not bad, but something I think I'll never layer. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So the next recommendation was taking Royal Blend, which is of course inspired by Killian Angelshare, and combining with Island Vanilla Dunes by Cod Lodge. This one, of course, is inspired by Altair. Now, Island Dunes is a more vanilla forward take on Altair. Spiced vanilla with a creamy gourmand feel. Also, I think this one is less focused on that orange blossom and citrus of the OG. Royal Blend, on the other hand, is like a really, really good clone of Angel Share. Gets really, really close. Keeps that boozy sweetness of the OG, but also adds this juicy plum and powdery iris note. Now let me tell you, this combo is so freaking good. The best cold weather layering recommendation on the entire list. This thing could be like an Angel Share flanker, like a vanilla forward Killian Angel Share. Honestly, Killian, if you're watching this, call me. Let's talk. The next recommendation was YSL Myself and LV Symphony. Obviously, I have a full bottle of Myself, but I also have a decant of Symphony. But I also tested out with some really good clones, which is Armaf's Dubai Night. I think it's called, yeah, Dubai Night's Midnight and Cod Lodge's Island Dream. The Myself DNA, it opens with bright, crisp citrus. The heart is dominated by that orange blossom that gives it like a slightly sweet, creamy, fresh laundry vibe. The base in this is very smooth and woody without being too heavy. Symphony, of course, very sparkling, effervescent quality. Very prominent citrus and ginger. It's zesty, it's sweet, has this burst of grapefruit and orange. And that's all balanced with a sharp, cooling ginger note that adds that little bit of a fizzy texture. Two very easy to wear fresh fragrances. Two profiles that actually complemented each other excellently. I think the ladies will love this one. Whether it's the dupes or the OGs, I'm going to give this combo a 9 out of 10. The next combo that I was recommended was God of Fire and Raja Parfums Elysium. Look, I do have a decant of the OG God of Fire, but I do not have any of Elysium. So I just like the Tom Fords, I subbed them out for clones. I didn't want to use Vulcan Few again, so I was like, let me use another God of Fire dupe. And this time I went with Opulent Dubai. This Latafa fragrance takes the God of Fire DNA and removes some of the spices and oud, and it focused much more on that juicy mango. For the Elysium alternative, I used a super underrated fragrance from Fragrance World, and that one is called Imperium. This is one of the best Elysium clones I have ever tried. The biggest complaint that people have with this one is that the performance sucks, but honestly, it's right up there with the OG. The OG's performance wasn't great either. Very citrusy, aromatic, but also strong woody undertones. This is another one that the combo is not bad at all, but it just doesn't do anything. It just takes that citrusy, woody base and adds some mango to it. Another good one that just doesn't move the needle for me, 7 out of 10. The next combo I was recommended was Rayhan's Italia and Vulcan Black Friday edition from Fragrance World. And I was completely ready to write this thing off. Italia, of course, a Xerjoff Naxos clone, sweet vanilla and honey profile with the tobacco backbone. Vulcan Black Friday, a super strong leather and rose fragrance inspired by Tony Iommi's Deified, both Xerjoff fragrances. And this is a perfect example of the order that you layer these in mattering, because first, I made Italia the base and then I added Vulcan Black Friday on top. And honestly, the Vulcan just overwhelmed Italia. Then I decided to flip it. I made Vulcan Black Friday edition the base and added Italia on top. I also did a 2-to-1 ratio, 1 spray of this to 2 of these. And it turned out to be a bit of a pleasant surprise. Not bad at all. But there's still an issue here. It's just that this thing is too strong. These are 2 powerhouse fragrances and it just kind of overwhelmed me. It was all just a bit too much, even for me, for someone who loves strong fragrances. If I could tone it down a bit, especially that first hour, it would have rated higher. But in this state, I'm going to give it about a 7.5 out of 10. The next combo I was recommended was El Harmeyn's Amber Oud Aqua Dubai and French Avenue's Atlantis Extrait. Another Imagination dupe makes the list. Imagination DNA is kind of like tailor-made for layering. Aqua Dubai keeps all the soapy clean vibes of the OG but kind of tones down that black tea note. Atlantis Extrait, of course, is a dupe of Room 1015's Wave Child. A summer beach vacation in a bottle, citrusy, aquatic, a little bit coconutty, but not too strong, with this signature candied watermelon note. The opening of this fragrance can come off really sweet, really loud. This actually helps balance this thing out. Ends up being a really nice combo. I actually find Atlantis Extrait really beautiful, really nice scent, but it's a bit femme-leaning. And because of that, I don't really reach for this very often. I think the Imagine DNA kind of helps balance it out. It makes it a little bit less femme in my opinion. I can definitely see myself rocking this combo in the summer. I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. The next recommendation was Aventus Supremacy Collector's Edition and Gisara's Ambassador. And this is not one of those recommendations that I swapped either of the fragrances out. They specifically combined a dupe with a niche fragrance, so that's what I did. Aventus Supremacy Collector's Edition is one of the most popular cologne fragrances out there today. This is a twist on Absolute Aventus. To me, this takes that iconic Absolute Aventus DNA and blends it with Aventus' own 9pm Rebel. Gisara Ambassador, of course, a strong mix of fruit with both warm and fresh spices. This was one of the first fragrances that I ever smelled a really strong mango note in, and it does it very well. This combo actually kind of surprised me because on paper, I thought this was going to be fire, and it turned out to be just kind of okay. In fact, I think the combo makes these slightly worse. Still very good individual fragrances. I just don't think that they do much for each other as a layering combo. So for that reason, I went 6 out of 10. The next recommendation I got were both Rayhan fragrances, and that's Adonis Icarus and Aquatica. This is essentially LV's Afternoon Swim combined with Creed's Virgin Island Water. So for me, this one was kind of interesting. The reason being, I'm pretty confident that my personal rating is going to differ from many of yours. The thing is, I love Adonis Icarus, that Afternoon Swim DNA, and this is one of the best clones out there. The three main accords in this are citrus, citrus, and more citrus. It also has some fresh spices and clean florals, but those are far behind that tart, juicy, invigorating citrus. The issue with this combo, for me, is that I don't really like Aquatica. I'm on record to say I'm not a big fan of fragrances that have a coconut dominant fragrance accord. And this being a Virgin Island Water dupe, coconut is very strong, is very prevalent along with the citruses and sweetness. I get it, it's a me thing. I think most people love this DNA and I can see them really liking this combo. So for this one, I'm gonna give 2 scores. For me, I think it actually improves this DNA but makes the Adonis Icarus DNA worse. So for me, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, but for most people that like both of these DNAs, this could easily be an 8 out of 10. So this last one was a doozy because the recommendation was again LV Symphony with Strong With You Parfum. Now, of course, I have a full bottle of this and I have a decan of this. If you are looking for a cheaper alternative, you can use Cod Lodge's Titan, which is a very good Strong With You Parfum clone, and Mizaj Infused Rhythm, which is of course a LV Symphony clone. Now, I thought this combo was made by some mad genius because I would have never thought to take this fizzy citrus, fresh spices of Symphony and combine it with like that sweet chestnutty yet aromatic gourmands of Strong With You Parfum. And it turns out that's for good reason because I don't think a mad genius made this. I think just somebody who was crazy made this. Honestly, I don't think this combo was real. I think someone was trolling me because I got this one from Reddit. When you combine these two fragrances, it just smells gross. To me, it comes off musty, almost slightly body odorish. This is 100% do not recommend, the worst combo on the entire list. Again, I think I was getting trolled because this is a 1 out of 10. So there you have it, folks. My rating on 12 layering combos. 2 of them were mine, 10 came from you all. Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of these or if you plan on trying any of these. Just avoid this last one because, again, it smells gross. And also, please hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep growing this channel. Let's head to 10,000 subs together. And as always, stay tuned for more honest, affordable fragrance content. Until next time, I'm out.